Well, it's going to go two different ways. From the strength conditioning side, the thing that I love is seeing so much more mobility and body weight stuff starting to be implemented, and getting away from just the three big lifts and the Olympic lifts, and that's it. And so now that, a lot of people are really starting to get kind of like on the Johnny Hides bandwagon and body weight and, and really starting to look outside the box and bring those things in is kind of a really good way that's going to help all the strength coaches really progress and make sure that the athletes, continue to get better. And then on the other side, like on the CrossFit side, the thing that I love is they're actually looking outside of CrossFit for the most part. Coaches and CrossFit athletes are looking to get outside ways to get stronger and looking for that edge. And now they're looking, that one of the big things they run is Windler method is a way to do it. And now they're even starting to really turn towards like Dan John and Pavel and being able to, they're really starting to focus more on strength and realize how much easier CrossFit becomes once they get that strength, no matter how good of a shape they're in. 135 pounds is a lot easier to lift if you can do 275 compared to 185.
Right.
And so they're starting to take that, embrace that, and that's kind of, they're crisscrossing paths, which is pretty funny, but they're both kind of going in a pretty good direction right now.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's great how so many people are taking a very independent approach, to try and find the best methodology. There's a lot of people, obviously lots of information out there, and you're providing a lot of good stuff and a great facility for people to attain that. So on the other end of the spectrum, what are some of the things that you really dislike that you think is just, maybe nuts out there right now, things that, you're writing your blog posts about, things that are pissing you off, or you just maybe just don't agree with?
Well, and that's kind of for guys that consider themselves actual strength coaches, kind of like you and I, probably the number one thing when it comes to training athletes is speed training, quote unquote, and, getting hit with that from parents and athletes of, they're slow and do you guys teach running form, or do you use, my favorite ones, do you use Vertimax? Do you, use bands and parachutes and their kid can't even walk because he doesn't have any of the lower body strength. We tell him to do a bodyweight squat and he falls over, but yet they want to teach him how to run. And that's kind of, I don't ever see that getting better because so many of the bigger sports performance centers preach that as the end-all, be-all means, speed ladders and agility and that type of stuff. And so that's one thing that really kind of gets on my nerves is not convincing parents that, but having them already be brainwashed into that being what their athlete needs and what they're in search of.
Right. Basically, it's a lot of putting the cart before the horse. A lot of parents that I've noticed, they come in and maybe they read an article about how, Derek Jeter's training or something like that, and they want their kid to do this new thing, but their kid's 16 and then this guy's a professional athlete. So they want, their kid who's not even well developed yet to do this very advanced stuff. And they forget that they need to train that general athleticism to develop this kid, from the ground up. And that's one of the things that I really respect about you is you don't skip that to get to the sexy shit that, try and impress somebody with this cool new video or this amazing new technique. Because really when it comes down to it, there's not a whole lot of secrets out there anymore. The secret is out. We know what you need to do. You need to move well. And like you were getting in, you hit on before, it's a lot more than just being able to squat and deadlift and press. That's important. That's going to help with your strength. But if the only time having, maximal numbers in that is if you're going to be a power lifter. Now, as an athlete, you need to be able to transfer that strength in a general way to be able to use it and move your body very athletically so you can run, jump, swim, move in various directions and not get hurt and continue doing it over and over and over again for the length of the season. Like I've had some kids come to me and like a group of baseball players came and they all started together. And then half of which stayed, and they're still with me now, and the other half went to a specific facility where they did a lot of throwing and they're already throwing how many reps a year, so how many times can you do this? So they work harder. Two of them got Tommy John surgery, so they're having to get their ligaments replaced in college, and getting things fixed. And I'm not trying to call anybody out, but like they don't a lot of people just don't realize the importance of keeping things simple and getting stronger. And one of the most important things is actually doing the exact opposite of what you would do on the field or on the mat, whatever you're doing, because you're always doing over repetition one side, are you doing the other? If you're always coming forward, are you going backwards? So are you developing a balanced athlete? So,
and that's kind of one of the things that we always do is our kids come in and for the first, I guess, month, 2 months, we hammer just that whole backside. Because I've never had an athlete come in that's not quad dominant. Because they're not taught the correct way to squat at school or the correct way to clean, and they do so many jumps and so many sprints that when we get in, we just hammer that posterior chain for a month or two. They go back and retest on their lifts, and all of a sudden their squat explodes, their vert goes up, and we've never even really worked on the quote-unquote sport-specific stuff. Mm-hmm. And so by doing that, just by, like you said, balancing them out, they may not even have gotten stronger. They just learned how to activate their glutes and learned how to, fire their hamstrings and develop that strength to make them balanced. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, they're a ton better athlete. And we've never really, they didn't do any athletic movements for the most part in terms of what other places would deem an athletic movement.
Right on. Right. Now, you talked about this earlier. You got involved with opening your facility by guys like Zach and Joe Franco. I'm sure everyone's going to know who they are. They're, leaders in our industry as far as warehouse training. Who are some other people that you think, touch on this as far as their philosophy or their way of teaching, coaching that have really influenced you to do what you're doing, or maybe even books or coaches that you maybe speak with now?
Yeah.